briefly. Will a cyber event be part of an asynchronous attack? More importantly, would we recognize it? Right now, as an individual, I depend on cert advisories. If the net goes down, how will America know what's going on? More importantly, who will let us know the magnitude and scope of that event? Who will stand up and say help is on the way? Reconstitution is underway. Right now, it appears that the people doing that will be the network owners, all competing for valuable cyberspace. It's not the government. I'm equally perplexed on how the world will respond to this kind of an event. And Paul briefly touched on that. And I think and I hope our folks from the corporations will speak about the globalness of this. Will government respond with legislation and regulations? My experience is, yeah. That's what they do best. You have an event and they respond to it. Do you want to wait for that? But I will praise them. I mean, they're independently, Congress has silos of excellence. They've passed in legislation to get at things like privacy and protecting medical records. Again, very focused silos of excellence. Third question, will independent silos prevent a unified response and recovery? While in a competitive marketplace, competition is good. Will that competing interest impede everybody simultaneously trying to regain bandwidth? So I think it's time to unite. And I think we can do this. We have a proud history as a nation in doing this, and let's get proactive about it. Sure, there's going to be some challenges ahead of us, but there's also lots of good news stories in this inter-silo cooperation and sharing. With the government on the federal level, DHS has run cyberstorm exercises, and some of the results are being held close, and I understand that. The results reveal vulnerabilities. Maybe sharing, and this is I think what Paul was alluding to, maybe sharing the vulnerabilities might not be a great idea, but sharing progress in shoring up those vulnerabilities might be a good thing. At the state level, when most citizens wake up to a cyber event, it may not be a national event. It could be a regional situation. The states will be quickly thrust into the forefront of protecting their citizens. While each state has an infrastructure protection director, many states are focused on protecting against physical attacks. Like Paul said, they haven't quite awakened yet. With industry and commerce, with upwards of 90% of the net owned and operated by the private sector, will we end up with national highway systems where the roads are maintained by local governments with guidance and support from the feds? Will that be the new internet highway? However, improving cyber networks, it falls to investment by industry and commerce. The news from Paul on the safe code revelations and cooperation is actually just music to my ears, to have that kind of cooperation from that industry, from those industries. Let's get around the academics. We really do need to do more. And a gentleman from Prince George's County, thank you for bringing that, to the forefront. But we're competing for scarce R&D dollars. As I echo Paul's charge. We need to make those investments in R&D. But what I think we really need to do more is to share lessons learned, share lesson plans. We need to teach and reach Americans with cyber preparedness. So what can academia bring to the table? First, when I first heard the private sector was not responding to the national plan, I was perplexed. And I told you about the FOIA issue. We may have passed through that. I don't know. And I'm not saying that academia is itself unbiased. We've all had our history teacher that used the podium to pronounce his or her particular political views. But when it comes to performing research, academics are held to a high standard of unbiased reporting. Also, academia is as close as your backyard, and that's the part I like. We have a Prince George's Community College serving this region. It's not just about those major centers. If we could disseminate across the national school networks the latest information on cyber preparedness, what a powerful effective communications platform we have. Dr. Scow's Center is the beginning of this, in my view. I also draw your attention to the NSA DHS National Centers of Academic Excellence. I have representatives here today from the fort. 87 universities have stood up to that challenge. I guess I'm with you all saying, why haven't more come forth? They can produce more and more students. That program is phenomenal. It's producing the next generation. It's also reaching it, and now I'm out in academia. I'm just thrilled with the number of current workforce employees coming back to school. We're reaching the current workforce as well. So back to slide number 1. First question is, Corey, were you able to dial in to us today, and can we hear you, and can you hear us?
Yes, he hasn't called in yet.
Okay, well, hopefully Corey will be able to connect with us and in just a little bit.